How are you this evening? Hey everyone, it's Dawn, and I've got my saltwater heels, everything going on here tonight because I am ready for the beach. Get me out of this cold. Who's out there tonight? So tonight's title is, Are You a Natural? And I am just gonna pull up my screen here so I can answer any of your questions as they come in. We're running a little bit late tonight, and I'm not even sure if anyone's out there because of the saga that's been going on all day with Facebook. So I want to talk to you a little bit about this, Are You a Natural? And it has more to do with intuition. If I have a few friends, let me know that you're out here and that Facebook is actually working, because it would be really fun to know that there's actually people. Hey Chris, I see you, girl. How are you? We just talked a little bit ago. So I want to talk to you a little bit about this intuition, because not everyone is intuitive in the same area. And that's really important to understand. So I'll share a few fun stories with you, and then I really want to talk to you about whether it's your workplace or an organization, your team, what you're looking for when it comes to intuition. And maybe this will help you to dissect some of the personality conflicts and or differences that are going on in your life today. Does anybody have personality conflicts at work or in their personal groups, in their businesses? Personality conflicts honestly usually arise just because of differences. I have been a student of relationships and people for I can't even begin to tell you how long. And there's one thing that I know, and I wear a lot of different hats. I have people ask me all the time, what are you doing now? Where are you at? What's going on? So for those of you, just to kind of fill a gap here that don't know, obviously I run a very successful network marketing business in the health and wellness sector. I am also a professional speaker, and yeah, you wouldn't know it from the past few nights. But I also am a coach. I focus on the areas of the mind, the body, business, and I've been in the network marketing direct sales space for about 27 years, so that has been my area of giftedness. And then what else do I do these days? I am just so passionate about a new love that I have in personal training, and that has just evolved out of the entire health and fitness sector of my life. So as I share with you, I'm just pulling a lot of different tales, resources, and experiences from all of those different walks that I've had. And one of the ones that comes to my mind with regards to intuition, I'll share with you just a story and I'll never forget it. And I couldn't figure it out until I really became a student of leadership and understanding John's theory behind this particular law of intuition. And I was asked to speak in front of an audience of about 500 leaders at one point. And I went into this weekend and I had no clue what I was going to talk about. I really hadn't. And if you know me, if you've seen me speak, I'll have notes, but 9 times out of 10, and I'm Italian, so I digress often, but I truly lead from my heart based on the audience and what they want to hear, right? So I walk into this event the one time, and I was there for a couple days ahead of time, and I figured, you know what, I'm just going to plow through this. I'm going to get some really good content, and I'll be able to deliver. And I had nothing, guys. I honestly had no clue. This was an acquisition that happened. 2 companies were merging, and I had to get in front of their entire leadership field and talk to them about unity and about camaraderie and about developing as one team. And I was clueless. So we were down, and we were down south, and so I was out shopping with a few colleagues, and I literally was digging through a basket of what those stones, you know, those stones that have like the little sayings on them and everything. And I grabbed a stone, and all the stones said on it, and it was apropos at the time in my life because I had just gone through my divorce, and the stone on it said, I do. And I'm like, well, that's really funny. Like, seriously, this is what I pick up. But there was something about that stone that resonated with me. And intuitively, I knew that that was it. That was what I needed to talk about. I needed to talk about union and partnership. I needed to talk about, not carrying excess baggage. And it was like so profound, but I knew in that moment, and I'm sure many of you have had those moments where you just intuitively knew what to do in that particular situation. Your instinct, just kind of leapt in. I think about great coaches sometimes, coaches that came in. I remember when I was coaching girls high school softball, and I came in and I just intuitively knew what we needed to do to make things different. How we needed to shake it up a little bit, who needed to be where, and I changed positions as parents, and girls were appalled, but I intuitively knew that these girls had better skills in other positions. So if this is you, if you have those areas of giftedness, whether it's sports or whether it's finances, Larry is so intuitive as far as being able to see people and the space they should be in and the avenue they should pursue as their career path. I look at so many people, and one of the things that I see most conflict in is that people don't understand that your intuition really only perseveres in the area that you're most gifted. So if you have no idea how to build a network marketing business, right, or you don't feel well enough versed in the arena of leadership, your intuitive skills are not going to be where they need to be in order to come in and grow an organization, right, to lead a volunteer army. But you may be phenomenal at being a franchise owner and knowing how to build multiple franchises. And so your skills are going to be very specific to the area that you have the most strength in. So let's talk about this leadership piece though, and how intuitiveness works there, because this is really complicated to understand. And let me make it simple for you. So when I go in to speak in front of an audience, and some of you have seen me do this before, I'll walk around an audience, and if you've ever seen me do this, I miss this at times. So I'll walk into a room and I might meet 20, 30 different people. I'm asking them where they're from and what their family is like, and details, like important, relevant details, because one, I'm combing through my audience. I'm really trying to figure out who's there, because I may walk into a room and have all good intentions of the things I want to say or the delivery of what I want to accomplish. But the reality is, if I'm not meeting the needs of the individual sitting in my audience, then it's all for naught. It really, truly is. So I will comb through my audience, meet 20, 30 people. On occasion, when I've done keynotes, I have been able to, stand up, ask those individuals to stand up, and I, with their permission, of course, introduce them to the rest of the audience and share a few of the details that I recalled from when I met them. It usually surprises people that I've remembered that much, but one of the things that I really have honed, and I don't say this to boast, but this is a skill that you can learn, is that I've studied people. I'm a people watcher. You'll see me and I'll be sitting there, and sometimes I'll just kind of give you that look. And I've sat in conference rooms at times and people are like, that's her thinking face. Because all I'm doing is reading the relationships. I'm reading the dialogue that's going on between people. I am watching the conversation. More so than that, I'm watching the body language of the individuals. And so, hey Dan, how are you tonight? So one of the areas that I want to encourage you, if you don't feel that you're very high in intuition on the leadership scale, if you're finding that whatever space you're in, you're struggling in a little bit, it's simply because you haven't developed an intuitive skill set in that space yet, if that makes any sense. You might be brilliant in your career path, and I find that happens a lot of times when people step into network marketing that have been in other careers at some point in their life. And the most important thing for me to do is when I'm coaching any individual that's stepping into the space, whether they're a part of my organization, and I do coach other leaders within other companies and help them in their leadership skill sets. But one of the things that I really hone in on is them understanding where they're at as far as their development of their skill set of intuition, because it's so very important. You can identify a lot, and I want you to think about this when you walk into a room, and you can tell attitudes, morale. If you just study people and watch people, you can see energy in that room. And being intuitive in a leadership perspective, it's something that people are natural at, right? So not everybody is natural at it though. And that's the important thing to understand. Remember, your only natural intuitive skills apply in the areas of your greatest strength. So if leadership is not necessarily a strength of yours, if you haven't led a team, led an organization, if you're stepping in and you're trying to build something new and you're feeling like, gosh, I feel unplugged, I feel that like I'm a fish out of water, it's just simply because there's different people skills that you have to develop in this space. So I want you to think about the place that you work. For example, if you have a day job, or the organization you work with, or the team of people around you, or just your environment in business or in a social setting even, you have followers, okay? And these people, so this is how these people think. There's 3 different people in your surroundings, right? So followers are people that are focused on task at hand. They're the people that want to come in, they want to do their job, they want to clean their desk, they want to go home. It's only the current work that they're focused on. Managers, these individuals are focused on like efficiency and effectiveness. Like, how well are we getting things done? Can we increase productivity? Those streamlined functions. And then you have leaders. Okay, so, and this is where the conflict comes into play, because even though title doesn't necessarily separate people, the type of intuitive person they are can. So a leader is a big picture person. This person is not necessarily concerned about the effectiveness that's going on in the office or how we can be more efficient, okay, or more productive. They're looking at who was brilliant at this was Steve Jobs. He was looking at big picture. He was looking at years ahead, right? He was looking decades ahead. So when you think of intuitive leaders, he's a great example of one. I want to also share with you, as far as resources are concerned, because this differentiates leaders that are intuitive versus other individuals that may or may not be in that space. So it's how they look at the resources around them. And let me just use an example here. So we have a brand new team that I'm working with, and in their organization, right, they're just coming together and everybody's trying to figure out, how can I help? How can I help to build content? How can I help to build training? These are all your worker bees, all right? And I said to this leader, I said, listen, your leaders will always work you. So if you're feeling like you're having to pull people along, they're not gonna be your leaders. They're not gonna step up. Your leaders will work you. They're the ones that are constantly asking you questions. They're the ones that are constantly showing up. They're the ones that are constantly engaged. So if they're not doing that, then they're probably not your leaders, okay? So the workers are the people that are saying, how can I help? How can I contribute? And just because somebody's not stepping up to be a leader doesn't mean that they don't have value. And I think that that's something that we really need to embrace, because a lot of times we're looking for just all the leaders to rise to the top, right? We're looking for the cream of the crop, but we're not understanding that we've got to meet people where they're at. And so again, if it's in whatever business, office, work environment it's in, I'm talking about a specific example that happens to be going on in a direct selling space right now with a particular team. So then you have high achievers in this particular team, right? And the higher achievers are saying, and if you have questions about this, I know I'm going through this stuff really, really fast, but please feel free to reach out because I'll be more than happy to share. So you have high achievers in this particular team, and the high achievers are saying, okay, we know we have a gap. We know that we don't have the tools and the resources we need for training. So how can I help to solve this problem? Okay, so the workers are saying, how can I help? They don't know what to do. And then the high achievers are saying, how can I solve this problem? How can I fill this gap? Okay, and then you have peak performers. Now I got alarms going off in the other room. So then you have peak performers. Now this is where it gets interesting. The peak performers are saying, well, how do I get to the next level, okay, in order to overcome this? So they're looking at themselves and their productivity and what they need to do and what they need to accomplish to get to the next level. They're bypassing the workers and the high achievers who are trying to solve the problem or trying to fill the gap, right? And then you have the leader. The leader is the person that is not looking to themselves at all. The leader is not trying to step in and fix the problem. The leader is saying, okay, what resources do we have and who is the best person that I have or I know that can step into this space and fix the problem? So in this particular situation, the resources that we needed to come from outside. We needed to bring in a coach to facilitate and train and mentor and take care of this organization while the leader could go and do the other things that that particular individual needed to do. So the leader is asking about, okay, what's resources, what materials, what things are out there that we can leverage, what is it going to take financially, and how in the world am I going to increase morale and energy to increase the success of my team? What am I doing to pour into other people in order to increase the energy to get them where they want to go? So I hope that clarifies just a few of these differences that might be going on in your organization and the different levels of leadership that you're working with and dealing with. It's really hard when people feel like they're not on the same page with one another, but the reality is everybody has the same intention. They just go about it a different way based on their area of strengths. And remember, they're applying their own intuitive skills within their area of strength. The leader is the only one that truly, and when it comes to intuition and leadership, it truly is innate. You can learn it though. So if you don't feel that intuition, and this is one of the areas that I'm really passionate about, and I am really bad with some of these other laws, but having been a speaker and having been a coach, I think of a couple different things, and I want to share this with you. So if you're a coach, there's a book, and it's an amazing book. And if you're really trying to understand how to increase the performance, the success level of your organization or team, there's one book, and it's by Tim Gallwey. It's called The Inner Game of Tennis. And I remember when I was first going through the certification for coaching, and I dove into that book because I didn't feel equipped. I didn't feel like I knew what I was doing. And sometimes I think we step into those new spaces not feeling equipped or like we know what we're doing. And I realized that it was the intuitive skills of the coach that were going to pull out the best in the player. You'll have to read the book, but in this study, the individuals, the coaches that were brought in to coach these particular tennis players, these athletes had never played the game of tennis before. And all of these players increased their games. So it's a fabulous book, but it really emphasizes the power of how coaching can be so incredibly powerful and effective, and it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody that's ever been in your space before who's your coach. All you need to do in order to be a good coach is know how to ask the right questions, but it requires some really great listening skills. So that's one of my absolute favorites. And I think of something funny when I think of the ability to be intuitive. And this goes for husbands and wives. So if I've got any husbands and wives or anybody in a relationship here, I think of the analogy, we were talking about it. And somebody said to me the other day, because I said, oh, Larry picks out my shoes these days. I don't buy my shoes. Hey guys, here's the reality. I hate to shop I love the fact that my husband shops for me. I mean, it's over the moon, like, just, I can't even tell you how, like, as a wife, like, guys, if you're not shopping for your wife, just go buy her something. Like, buy her a pair of shoes, buy her a top, buy her something if you're in a relationship. Because I hate shopping. Like, I used to love it, but I get really frantic, really anxious because I figured out why. I'm really good. I can walk into a room of 500 people, 1,000 people, and not have a clue, like I did in that one particular incident, of what I wanted to talk about and pull something together and intuitively know what the audience needs and be able to feed off of that, right? But I can't walk into a department store and put an outfit together. I really, truly can't. It takes me hours and it makes me miserable and it sucks my energy and I can't stand it. So Larry is really, really good about picking out outfits for me because it's not, you know, I don't have any creative skills in that regard. Another thing that's really funny, and if your wives do this, guys, it's not by design and it's not because she's trying to annoy you. She truly can't make up her mind. If there's anybody out there that goes into a restaurant and takes forever to look at a menu, that would be me. I could come up with 10 minutes of content to babble and talk to you about. But I have been known to actually look up menus ahead of time online so I don't have to sit there for 20 minutes to try to make a decision in a restaurant. So I have no clue, and especially when it comes to like fabulous menus, I have no intuitive skills to make a good decision. I honestly will ask, and you can, Larry will attest to this, he couldn't figure out why I used to do it. But I honestly ask every time I go into a restaurant, the waitress or the waiter, I'll say, give me an idea what's the most popular on the menu. And Larry's like, well, why do you do that? You know, I say, well, here's why I do it. Because one, I can never make up my mind when I go into a restaurant and I intuitively can't look at that menu and tell you what I think might be good or what might not be good. But I know what's coming out of that kitchen they have a clue about, and they can tell me what their most popular dishes are. And the likelihood is I'm gonna probably like one of those. So I just wanted to share just a few fun moments with you because it really is very difficult to show you or demonstrate to you all of the characteristics of intuition because it is really one of those gut kind of things. But the one way to get really good, again, there's a few ways to get really good, and that is to read books. Read books on relationships, engage with people, be a people watcher, have conversations, ask questions, and be a constant student of others. I hope you're having a great night, everyone. I'm glad Facebook's working again. Have a great day tomorrow. Talk to you soon.